So I'm back in the code and we already have this function here where we are getting the list of all the users, and we already have the pipe operator imported here and we're using it in this function. So we can just go inside of here and use the catch error. So I'm just gonna go here and do catch error. As you can see here, it's an operator. I'm gonna pass in the error, so that's gonna be the error. I'm just gonna call it error, give it a type of any. I don't know what type of error this is gonna return because I didn't build this API. And then what we want is multi-line. So I'm gonna do open and close curly braces and then go on a new line. And I need to do this. And then now what I want to return is any observable of anything. So here I can just do return an observable of. So to create an observable, you can just use the of clause. And then here I can just say empty array or something like that. So this is gonna just go and fetch this data from this URL. And then if there's an error, it's gonna default to this, which is gonna return an empty array. And here I could have just passed some user, like some object or something like that, but I don't necessarily have to do that. I can just return an empty array like this. So if I don't find any users, then I'm just gonna return an empty array. So now if we go back to the application, we can see that everything is working as expected because there were no errors. So let's go back and simulate an error. So let's go back to the app and let's say I put multiple S's here, and let's go back. And if you look here, you can see that in our component, let me see if I can make this a little bit bigger. You can see that we have an empty array. Okay, so if we look at this line right here, if we expand this, you can see that this is line 39. And if we go into that line, you can see that the response is console logged here, which is an empty array. There's nothing in it. And then when we set this empty array to this user, then we get nothing, and that's why we have nothing here. So we didn't actually get an error. As opposed to if I didn't have this, right? So if I remove the pipe operator altogether, so if I go here and then just remove all of this, and the URL is still incorrect, and you can see that it's going to be different. You can see now we have this error. So let me refresh that. You see now we have this error that's printing on line 42. And if we check it, you can see line 42 right here is this error. So we actually got the error, and we could like handle this error here, or maybe show a pop-up to tell the user that there was an error or something like that. But the difference is if you do this, you actually don't send an error. You handle the error, and instead of sending an error, you send an empty array. And again, this can be any observable. You can create any kind of observable here and return it as long as it matches the type that this function is returning. And you know, you can just put a pipe here and then put a separate type, like for instance, string, right? Let's say this is gonna return a string, or you can put an observable of an empty array or something like that. You can see it doesn't complain. So just make sure that whatever you're returning here, it's not causing any problem with your return when the call is successful. So that's one way to handle errors, and then return some local data or some empty array or something like that. Here I'm just returning, well, technically it's local because I'm creating this empty array here on the fly. So it's local, like it lives on this application itself. I didn't fetch it from any API. So that's what I want you guys to understand. So you can catch the error and then return an observable of some sort. And this is catch and replace. Like we replace this error with something else. Now I'm going to show you how we can do catch and rethrow.